Hello, Ash. How are we doing this
Very,
fine
very cold.
winter's evening?
Very, very cold right now in the UK.
Oh my God, it's changed so much, hasn't it? It's changed so much, and what with the, the fuel prices going up, etc., people are not putting the
I'm
heating
not
on.
putting mine on. It's
Don't blame you. No, can't
oh,
afford to just set fire to money just yet.
no.
So
Onesies and blankets and duvets. That's how you get warm.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, but talking about cold, that is my impression of Scotland anyway, is that it's generally cold.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a bit too much of a generalization, but
No, I don't think so.
no. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go on another trip where we've got a few pubs we're going to chat about. So let us crack on. So I am going to be talking about, let me put the picture of this one up. This is my first one, and it is Nicky Tam's Bar and Bothy
Nice.
in Stirling. So, bit of a crazy place. Let's have a look. So, Nicky Tam's Bar and Bothy is not only the second oldest pub in Stirling. I was waiting for it to be the oldest. However, it does claim to be the most haunted,
Awesome.
as
Of
you
course.
as you'd expect. As you'd expect. Um, I think everywhere is the most haunted place anyway. But um, so in 1999, they started renovating the pub again, and they were fraught with reports of apparitions and unsettling events after a photograph of what looked like a clergyman was discovered walled into the fabric of the building.
Hmm. Odd.
Yeah, so clairvoyants visited the site 3 times over 1999 and 2000 and claimed that there were a number of spirits present in the building, some benign and one more aggressive presence, perhaps the clergyman in the photo. While the events have not been fully explained, Nicky Thames still attracts both coast hunters and those simply looking for home cooked food. So, if you're thirsty on your way up to Stirling Castle, stop by for a drink. And that's at Nicky Thames Bar and Bothy.
I was in Stirling when I went to Edinburgh only a few months ago.
Okay.
I don't think I went to that bar. We just went to Wetherspoons, cheap and cheerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stirling, nice little town with the
Yeah.
castle and old buildings and stuff. Nice place.
So you didn't go in and
No,
try and hunt the clergyman?
I don't recognize that name. I
No.
don't recognize that name.
I
No.
don't even know what Bothy means. Do you know what Bothy means?
Let's ask Abby. I think she's Scottish.
What is a Bothy? Let's have a look. It's a basic shelter,
Oh, okay.
usually left unlocked and available for anyone to use free of charge. It's also a term for basic accommodation. So there we go. So bar
Oh,
and Bothy, some
learning.
accommodation, B&B. So that was the first one, Nicky Tams.
Awesome. And I'm going to be talking about a place called Drovers Inn, just
Okay.
across the way in Loch Lomond. Again, a beautiful place,
Hmm.
beautiful loch. And it's actually quite suited because I've got to start off with a little story to build up to it. And talk about how cold it is now actually fits in with this story.
Okay.
Because it was the winter of 1792, and a young family were forcibly removed from where they lived, their landlords having decided that the land would turn more of a profit if it's used for sheep farming rather than housing.
Okay.
With nowhere to live and not much money or way of supporting the young child, the family had no option other than to head south in hope of creating a new life for themselves in the Scottish lowlands. On their long journey south during the winter months,
Yeah.
one night they got caught in a particularly heavy snowstorm. They'd been trying to reach shelter and safety at Drovers Inn. However, with the visibility very poor and the family being exhausted from the journey, they took a wrong path and ended up freezing to death while
Oh,
wandering the
Christ.
land, desperately trying to find the track to the inn. So this family died trying to find shelter. Horrible story, of course. And over the years, There've been many accounts of people witnessing the young family wandering the land, trying to find shelter. On more than one occasion, they've even appeared to have actually arrived at their destination that fateful night,
Okay.
which would be this building here,
Oh,
the Drovers Inn and
yeah.
Hotel. And there's one account goes that a couple who was staying in room 2 woke up during the night with a cold shiver, only to find that the young family were standing shivering at the foot of their bed.
Christ.
Their breath was even visible in the now freezing air. Imagine waking up and seeing just the family stood at the foot of your bed.
And it looks like the kind of place that would happen as well. That looks like proper horror story stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, massive place. And the young boy was waving
Oh,
to the
God.
couple as if like he was finally happy that they'd found the shelter that they've been searching for 300 years. In room 6,
Hey.
another story. There's a couple in bed and the girlfriend woke up the partner. They could see flickering lights moving around the
Okay.
room. They're still a bit asleep, but they woke up a bit, try and see what it was. And there were a number of tiny white points of light dancing around just in midair, between 10 and 20 at any one point.
Oh, wow.
Although very small, the lights were very intense, and they seemed to move randomly, appearing and disappearing. But the room was pitch black with no other light source there at all, apart from these lights. And they watched them for a long time, just
Yeah.
not able to explain what they were. They thought it was maybe some kind of firefly, a tiny firefly or something. And they even asked the staff, like, what, is there anything in there? And they're like, no, don't know what that is.
Oh,
Pretty creepy. And again, in room 6, this relates to a young girl that had stayed nearby. She'd been playing with her beloved doll,
yeah.
Annabelle. Of course, it's named Annabelle. The river Fallock nearby was normally shallow and pretty placid, which runs just behind the Drovers Inn.
Yeah.
But on that day, during a lot of rainfall, the river had swelled, and Annabelle, which fell into the river, the young girl went after it, trying to rescue it, fell in, and was swept away and died in the icy waters.
Oh, Christ.
There's a search party found her, but it was too late. They took her to the Drovers Inn, try and get her warm, try and help her, put her onto the bed in room 6. There she stayed while her family grieved and ready for her to be buried. Many guests that slept in the same room 6 with the lights had woken through the night having felt a small, icy cold and wet body lay next to them in bed. There's also been sightings of the doll, Annabelle, looking for her owner, who she was never reunited with.
Jesus Christ.
So quite scary so far. Waking up
Yeah.
and seeing a family, foot your bed, waking up and feeling like there's someone wet and cold next to you in the bed. And not only is there that ghost of that girl, we've also got a ghostly child. And this was quite a
Obviously.
recent story. A lady stayed at the inn one Thursday night, quite specific, with her daughter and friends for a birthday treat. A few days later, she emailed the pub wondering if they could tell them who the little girl in one of the photographs was. There was this little girl in a pink dress stood on the stairs. She was not with them, and they didn't remember seeing any kids like in the hotel that night. The staff were like, no kids were staying here that night. It was only in the picture it was seen, and nobody knows who she was. Just a ghostly child stood on the stairs. Could have been the same girl that died in the river. Could be, but yeah, quite a few creepy stories. Room 6 particularly.
Yeah, and also you've got guests seeing stuff, but also the fact that there's these definite sort of stories attached that could be those things that people are seeing and witnessing.
Yeah.
So this definitely links it. So I know we've spoken before, and there's been times where it's just anecdotal things have been seen moving on across the bar and noises. But this is like a specific history of things happening bad, and then similar experience of what appears to be those things, those entities or whatnot in those particular rooms or with those particular sort of senses, like cold, wet, damp, all that kind of stuff. So
definitely. And I would might see how much it is to stay there. Go to Scotland for
it does look proper creepy.
request room 6 to stay in.
I bet that's the most expensive room.
Might be. So yeah, that was the Drovers Inn in Loch Lomond in Scotland.
Cool. So we move on briefly to the next place, which is called Settle Inn, which is in Stirling. Let me get that picture up for you.
Back to Stirling.
Back to Stirling. There we go. Settle Inn. Not the best picture of it, to be fair, but
Cool.
creepy old looking place, and it doesn't look particularly inviting. A lot of these inns or hotels, bars, they're all sort of like painted white. They've got like the pebble dash walls on the outside, which is and the roofs are all a bit wonky and whatnot, which make it a little bit more creepy. But this in black and white does. I don't feel very settled looking at that.
For sure.
So it's been a tavern since 1736, which weirdly is almost identical in years to ones that we talked about over the last couple of weeks, which is weird. So I don't know why that particular time seems to be so consistent. It's a narrow early 18th century structure and was frequently mentioned as one of Stirling's most haunted buildings.
Another one.
But not as the most haunted, because that goes to Nicky Tams. As the Red Lion, it was called at one point, it was the unwilling host to unruly French and Irish followers of Bonnie Prince Charlie, the Young Pretender, during his siege of the castle in January of 1746. So again, we've got like specific months that this is happening, not just in 1746.
Yeah.
So ghost hunters claimed, after a vigil in 2008, to sense the enduring suffering of foreign soldiers within the lower levels of the building, casualties perhaps of the Jacobite Mirabel de Gordon's idiotic strategy of leading an assault on the fortress from the nearby Gowan Hill. Deprived of any cover or concealment, Gordon's men were easily picked off by General Blakeney's redcoats. So again, we've got a local connection where something traumatic has happened.
More battles in Scotland.
They stayed in there, in this inn, when it was called the Red Lion back in 1746. And that's specific dates in the months as well. So again, like yours, there's specific evidence of people at the time back in the day and trauma happening. So as we found, trauma in the history of these places does tend to bring out
for sure,
paranormal stuff. So yeah, it's a rather strange place, very unsettling, but it was the Red Lion. So that is the Settle Inn in Stirling.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.